Hi guys, my name's Seb Tudor, I'm the man on the Silver Mountain, and welcome back. Now today I wanted to share a few thoughts on a video this morning that filled me with hope. And for those of you who don't care about the political stuff that I sometimes talk about, and some of the YouTube stuff that I sometimes talk about, then you're probably not going to care about this. Fair enough. But for everyone else, this morning I woke up and found that Laci Green had put out a video this morning about where she referenced the kind of red pill, which is a very interesting thing for her to reference, maybe. But ultimately, she was discussing her stance on feminism, her stance on kind of where she's been going with things, how she's not been on social media for a while, now she's come back, and how she's looking to debate and discuss and open up a bit more than she has previously, considering that a lot of the videos that she's put out up until very recently have been quite negative, have been very much on the hard SJW line, and as I demonstrated in my my video on the debate between her and Blair White, it did kind of come down to some of the information that she's presenting is just not as factual as she seemingly thinks it is. But as she discusses all of these things, the one thing that I took away from the video more so than anything else was that she was asking for more conversation, was she's looking for more conversation, and that she's setting a really good example again. When I first became aware of Laci Green, it was mostly through her videos on moving away from Mormonism and on more of the kind of religious atheist kind of thing, and her experiences with that, which were fairly, to one degree or another, similar to my personal kind of movement away from religion when I was very small, and as a result it was a very interesting thing to hear of similar circumstances that were more extreme, but and from a different religion to a degree, but were very interesting nonetheless. You know, it was a way of comparing notes almost, which is one of the reasons why I at one point went to meet Laci Green, along with a collection of other people at a meetup that she had in London when she was travelling, which was a fun evening, to be fair. Lots of good conversation, lots of very intelligent people that were there. But as with a lot of the other things that she has done since that point, maybe not so much her Sex Plus series, as that was far more just to inform, which, especially in the States where she lives, sex ed has been one of these things that is far more controversial there than it is anywhere else in the Western world, and where it's been, her videos may very well have been kind of necessary to a lot of people who had internet but otherwise didn't have any other way of getting that information. But since that point, a lot of the stuff that she has said has been turned into memes, has been fairly negatively received by a lot of people, or has emboldened those who are maybe far more ideologically driven. And as a result, it's caused friction in several different directions around her. But this video, she addresses a lot of it, she addresses her stance, and I can guarantee that there are still an awful lot of things that for instance, her and other anti-SJW types on YouTube would still butt heads over. But the thing that that made me feel hopeful as a result of this is, once again, you've got someone who is willing to come to the table and talk. For those of you who have been sat around watching me for a while now, you know full well that one of the things that I have said an awful lot is that discussion, especially discussion based on fact, with a good solid grounding, that is the way forward. That's the way to develop over bigger issues, over even smaller issues. It's the way that we can work with other people to grow and develop. And seeing someone with the profile and the following that Laci has, coming forward and going, well, there's no point in not talking to people. There's no point in continuing just to argue for the sake of arguing. That's great. Oh, excuse me, just had lunch. But moving on from that, it's like I feel like this opens a door again. Yeah, where doors have been slammed on all the people who are in the center, like myself, who are going, there's no such thing as a person on either extreme, be they someone that you would count as a member of the alt-right or an SJW, regardless of which way you are going to take it, those people are extremists. They're ideologues. They're people who are causing problems. Yeah, it's the people in the middle are sat there trying to talk, trying to work these things out, but doors have been slammed on that group in the center from both sides. And yet now, with someone like Laci stepping forward and actually opening that door for discussion again, where so many have had that door just slammed in their face. Myself even have had people turn around to me when I can back up what I'm saying, and they have just slammed the door in my face. They have just removed themselves from the discussion. They have just shouted and insulted me, but they can't address what I'm saying. And so there have been a whole load of other people who have been maybe not surprised by this, considering the recent debate with Blair. But there have been a fair number of videos that I've seen floating around the last couple of days that are all really excited about this, really happy about it, because quite frankly, this is what we need. This is what people have been asking for. You don't need to agree with everyone absolutely, but there are facts. And Laci again, brings up the fact that whether she counts herself as some kind of intersectional feminist, whether she counts herself as one thing or another or blah blah blah, the one thing that she brings up is skepticism and the scientific method, her kind of stopgap to try and allow her some kind of solidarity and solidity in what she's saying. And this is where I feel like again, people give people in positions of influence, of attention, they give them far more credit than they're due. A lot of people who have taken some of the things that Laci says as, oh, well, this is what she's saying because she's this kind of ideologue, or this is what she's saying and she's on this platform and she's saying these things and as a result she has to be right. And my camera's unfocusing. But you have to realise that she isn't going to have, for instance, some of the information that I had that I relayed in the video about the discussion that she had with Blair White, she may very well not have had. She may very well not have been able to access that information, either due to just chance of not coming across it, or due to the environment that she's in, or whatever else. It might just not have come up. And as a result, though, the only way that the information is going to get from one person to another is through the discussion. So I'm glad that the door is open again, and that these discussions can start rolling again, at the very least with someone like herself who has been a kind of leader within her community to one extent. It's a good change that I hope becomes a cultural change instead of just like one person doing something that opens them up again. I don't know how it will really go down with the hardline ideologues that either she used to work with in various areas, or that she has otherwise been picked up by and had her words used by. But again, this is where now consistency is key, because there are bad people on both sides. There are people who are harsh, there are people who insult, there are people who will hunt you down, and those people are negative influences to everybody, not to one side, not to the other. They're negative influences to everybody. And so now, if we've got people starting to open up to conversation again, then the important thing is to engage in that conversation but be consistent. Keep a good check on the facts, keep a good check on the discussions taking place and making sure that they're actually not one-sided. One of the things that I said about the discussion with her and Blair, and the fact that I had so much more to say about what Laci said rather than what Blair said, was simply because, again, that became a very slanted discussion where Laci was talking an awful lot more than Blair was. You know, you need to have that balance between people and between the ideas and the things being discussed. And then hopefully we can get some progress out of this. I'm going to be watching this with a huge amount of interest because, as I said in one of the first videos that I actually mentioned for the sake of transparency, that I had met Laci, you know, she was a very hopeful, very positive individual when I met her, and since then I have only been disappointed by a lot of the things that I have seen that she has produced. And yet now this today is, or this end of last week rather, considering that this video will go out beginning of next week, for me right now, this kind of stands out as a positive first step and a good example to a lot of people on both sides that don't be sucked up by the ideologies that you're attached to. Don't be so wrapped up in what you're saying that you won't discuss. Yeah, you can discuss, you can be angry, you can disagree, you can do whatever else, but like actually taking aggressive action against a person in a very physical way or whatever else, or otherwise just not wanting to engage with them as a us versus them, we're right, they're not, we can't pollute ourselves with them, you know, none of that is helpful. So, you know, I just wanted to bring this to you guys today just because it seemed like a really good way to start the week. It seemed like a very hopeful thing that I hope develops into more, you know. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. You know, have you watched her video? I'll leave a link to her video in the description, actually, just so that if you haven't watched it, if you don't keep up with this stuff, if you're only tangentially interested, you can go and watch it and see what I mean in what I'm saying. But, you know, otherwise, let me know what you guys think about what she said about the whole opening up and closing doors kind of situation between the extreme ideologies on both the left and the right, and the way that they've slowly started to interact, and how that's left the people in the centre. Because most of the people who are making these anti-SJW videos, a huge wealth of them who are some of the more subscribed, tend to be the people who are sat in the centre. You know, whether it's centre slightly left or centre slightly right, it's mostly in the middle of the whole thing, where they're just looking for a good basis of fact that they can then build on in whichever direction. Be it more traditionalist, be it more progressive, be it which way you want to take it. That seems to be the core of the people that are engaging most in this discussion, you know. But anyway, as said, thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you in the video tomorrow. Take care. Thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video or found it interesting, then please drop us a like and subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the video tomorrow. Take care.